It won't have you guys' faces in it. Okay. Oops. So we have our two types of reproduction. We have asexual reproduction, where you get all of your DNA comes from one parent and you are genetically identical to that one parent. In sexual reproduction, half of your DNA comes from the biological male, half of your DNA comes from the biological female. And we're just gonna very simply, in our picture today, we're gonna say for sexual reproduction is where we're gonna start talking. We're gonna say that this one is mom, and this strand would be dad. And this is a very simplified version because actually what happens is your DNA strands you don't get a whole strand from mom and a whole strand from dad. They're mixed and things like that. But for simplified talk today, this is what we're going to show. Everybody good on DNA? Show me thumbs up or thumbs down. DNA, if it's asexual reproduction, all of the DNA comes from one parent, genetically identical. Sexual reproduction comes from both parents. It's a mix. Thumbs up, yes, I understand this. Sideways, yes, kind of. Or thumbs down, I'm totally lost. You will have to turn your cameras on, show me your hands. Don't turn them off. Now you're gonna leave them on so that I can keep checking your thumbs up when we do thumbs up and thumbs down. Okay, so now if we know that this is how we get our DNA, we can't actually see our DNA. What we can see is our traits that are characteristics that we actually have, physical characteristics that we can see, such as your eye color. Like I asked you the question earlier, where do you get your eye color from? And some of you said mom, some of you said dad, some of you said both parents. So maybe both of your parents have the same eye color. And all of your traits are controlled by your DNA. So your DNA is the instructions for what you look like. And it can be even smaller segments. So it's not like this whole thing tells you exactly. In our DNA, we have small segments, and this is a very simplified picture of this, that make up our DNA. And these small segments these little pieces are called genes. Not blue jeans like you wear, but genes as in a piece of your DNA. And if you have a gene on this strand of DNA, you also have the same gene over here. So for example, one gene that you have is the ability to roll your tongue, which means make the taco with your tongue. So you have a rolling tongue gene here, and you also have a rolling tongue gene here. You get one from mom and one from dad. So let's do our review. DNA, let's see if we are with me. DNA is made of smaller segments that we call genes that control our traits. You get one gene for each trait from mom and dad. Thumbs up, yes, that I'm with you on that. Sideways, explain it a different way, or thumbs down, I'm totally lost. So DNA, we have genes that control traits, and you have one gene for each trait from mom and from dad. Let me see, nice and big, thumbs up, or I can't see your hand. Some of you are giving me thumbs up, but you're too low. You're like holding it out here. You gotta hold it up in the screen so I can see it. All right, good, 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 good. Now we're gonna break it down even smaller. So just because you have this gene, what do you notice? Can everybody roll their tongue? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down? You think everybody can roll their tongue? Some people cannot, yeah, good. Some people cannot roll their tongue. And because they can't roll their tongue doesn't mean that they don't have this gene. It means that they have a different version. So just like you get a copy from mom and you get a copy from dad, this gene actually can have different versions. So you may get a yes, or you could get a no. And this is very simple terms. So you could have the gene that says, yes, you can roll your tongue, or you could have the gene that says, no, you can't. And these are called alleles. The different versions of the same gene are called alleles. So your mom can give you a yes, and your dad can give you a yes, or your mom can give you a yes and your dad can give you a no, or both parents can give you no, or dad could be yes and mom could be no. And it's the combination that you get that determines what you actually look like. And so right now, we're going to talk about something called dominance and recessiveness. So we have dominant and we have the word recessive. And these are the two most important things in determining what you actually look like. So your different versions of our gene, we're specifically talking about these, our alleles now. When we talk about alleles, we have dominant alleles and we have recessive alleles. Dominant means that if you have a dominant gene, I'm using Post-its to represent this, it will always be seen. No matter what your other parent gives you, if one parent gives you a dominant gene, a dominant allele, then you will always see the dominant form of the trait. So for example, when we're talking about tongue rolling, being able to roll your tongue, yes, is a dominant trait. So if mom gives you the dominant trait, which is yes, but dad gives you the recessive trait, that is no, can you guys still see the word dominant right now? Can you still see the bigger square? Yes, right? You can still see this bigger square. No matter what happens, if I put it behind it, you can still see the bigger square. If it's in front of it, you can still see the bigger square. This is what dominance means. If you have that trait, no matter what, it's going to show up. The only way you see a recessive trait is if both mom and dad, or both dad and mom, give you the recessive trait, because now when they overlap, can you see, what shape do you see? You still only see recessive. If both parents give you dominant, you still see the dominant trait. So all it takes is a parent to give you one dominant allele for that's to what you look like. And the way that we can explain this better is I have this poster here for us. So we use letters to represent alleles. A capital letter means that it's a dominant allele, and a lowercase letter means that it's a recessive allele. So if both parents give you a capital or dominant allele, you will show the dominant trait. If only one parent gives you a dominant allele and the other gives you the recessive, you still show that dominant trait. Just think of it like this, our Post-it. What size Post-it do you still see? You still see the square. The only way you get a recessive trait is if both parents give you the recessive allele. All right, let's do our quick recap here. And you guys are going to give me thumbs up as we go through this. All right, I'm going to start from the beginning. And you're going to give me thumbs up like, yes, keep going. I understand this part. So every single living thing has DNA. Thumbs up or down. Yes, you're with me on this. I need to see thumbs up and thumbs down that you're with me. Okay, good. If you reproduce asexually, all of your DNA, comes from one parent, so it is genetically identical to the parents, meaning it is the exact same DNA that the parent has. Thumbs up if you're with me. Okay, when things reproduce sexually, you get a combination of DNA from the mom and the dad, the biological male and the biological female. Thumbs up if you're with me. All right, when we break DNA down, our traits, our physical characteristics are controlled by these smaller things called genes, and you get one copy of each gene from your mom and one copy of each gene from your dad. Thumbs up if you're with me. Okay. You can have different versions of those genes. You may have, for example, tongue rolling. You may have the gene that says, yes, you can, or you may have the gene that says, no, you can't, and these are called alleles. Different versions of the same genes are called alleles. And then when we look at alleles, based on the combination that your parents give you, you may have either dominant or recessive alleles. If you have at least one dominant allele, this trait will show up. And you have to have two recessive alleles for this trait to show up, just like our Post-it notes. You still see the bigger square when the dominant trait is there. The only way you don't see the bigger square is when there are two recessive traits. Thumbs up if all of that makes sense right now. Okay, I see lots of thumbs up. Good.